I was stationed in Germany for about 3 years. Got reassigned to a military freefall team, which is awesome. Their whole job is to jump out of airplanes, like with oxygen masks and all their equipment strapped to them. But full disclosure, I was a little rusty doing free fall. So it was Friday morning, it was the end of the week. I had my rucksack strapped between my legs, my rifle across my body, oxygen mask and oxygen tank, and we were ready to go. We call that wall locker jumps because everything that's in your wall locker is now strapped to you and you're ready to go. We loaded the airplane, no issues, got up to altitude, it was, I think 14,000 feet or something like that. Exited the aircraft, turned on heading, checked my altimeter, pulled my ripcord, everything went great. And then I looked up and I realized I had line twists. It was no big deal. It's just like the lines that go from your harness to the parachute get twisted. Again, not a huge deal. You just kind of grab them and spread them apart and they eventually unwind. On this particular instance, as I was trying to unwind myself, my parachute kind of swung me out, pendulum swung me out. Typically wouldn't be a big deal, but our parachutes are designed to create forward drive as they're falling. They're designed more like a wing than just like a circle. So as it swung me out, it created forward drive towards the ground, which is now driving me downwards. And then I started to spin kind of like a corkscrew. So I am trying to unwind my parachute while spinning horizontal in relation to the ground, and I'm spiraling towards the earth. A more senior person on the team would have just cut that parachute away and then deployed as reserve, and he would have been fine. I don't know if I'm stubborn or maybe just dumb in this particular circumstance. But I was riding that wave, and so I started spinning faster and faster, and my vision started to shrink in like this. I was getting that tunnel vision from the centripetal force. I was pretty scared. Finally, I was able to unwind my parachute while being horizontal, and I grabbed my brake lines and yanked them both, and I was able to level out, and I was flying, and I was okay at this point. Checked my altimeter, I was way low, but man, I was dizzy. I didn't know where anybody was in relation to me. I was checking all over the sky. Everybody's yelling in the radio, Chris, turn around, check your GPS. I was looking down at my GPS and I was like, it's just spinning like this because I'm still so dizzy. And they're like, turn left. No, your other left. You're going the wrong way. And I just didn't know where I was. Couldn't find anybody in the sky. It was pretty hairy. And then finally there was a break in all the radio chatter, and Matt, one of the super senior guys on the team, he comes on the radio, super calm, and he says, Chris, turn towards the sun. All I had to do was look over my shoulder and I saw the sun, and I hit a hard left-hand turn, and about that time I see my buddy Andy kind of swoop in front of me so he could kind of guide me, and that's when I was able to fit into the rest of the stack, and everybody is kind of around me, and I landed just fine. I think had I had lunch or had I had breakfast, I probably would have puked it all up. It was an interesting experience for sure. But the takeaway from that was, like, despite all the chaos that's going on in front of me, like I didn't know where I was super disoriented. I just needed something big in the distance to put my eye on to get me back on track and synced up with everybody. Later on, when we're grabbing beers that evening, Matt sat me down and he's like, hey man, how you doing? But he explained to me that particular event is called the Phoenix phenomenon. And he said it's called that because if you exit the airplane and you become unconscious and are just falling at terminal velocity, there's a device in your reserve that will fire at a certain altitude that will deploy your reserve parachute in the case that you were unconscious and couldn't pull on your own. But you have to be falling at a certain speed in order for that to engage. And due to the way I was kind of spiraling through the sky, I wasn't falling fast enough for that to have worked. And he said that the Cypress, which is the little device, it wouldn't have fired, and I would have just burned in like a phoenix. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, that was a hairy time I had in Special Forces.